Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Welcome back, everybody. Yay! It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Thank you. Jeff, I missed you, buddy. How you doing?
I missed you too, man. Hey, can you just confirm so you weren't holding out like Lamar Jackson? You weren't out because the Chargers lost.
Just battling a virus that I've had for a few months now. So yeah, shut it down.
I'm happy you're back.
Fish, I've been waiting 3 days to say this. Good morning. I missed you, buddy.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Now shut the hell up. All right, let's start the show.
There we go.
I couldn't help it, Fish. I couldn't help it. All right, so a lot has happened this week. Yeah. I won't get to all of it. I'm not going to get you back to Monday's show or Tuesdays, but we got to talk about Ben Johnson.
No, we got to.
So Ben Johnson is the story of the evening, the day, however the hell you want to say it. My goodness, did that feel good. But I never doubted this.
You didn't.
And I'm not going to go the NFL route. I'm just going to go we're all humans. We've all had jobs before. I'm sure you've all worked a job before. I'm sure most of you have had an opportunity to leave your job, get promoted maybe, or leave and go work somewhere else for a different position. Who knows? You explain to me if you would leave Company A, which provides you all the tools necessary to be successful, that will allow you to keep growing, and by the end of the next year, you would be in pole position to take the job that you currently could take, which would be option B, that is a complete teardown, no tools, no resources, and no guarantees. Yeah. To me, this was an easy decision for Ben Johnson. Come back, coach top 5, top 7 offense, retool in the offseason. We'll see what they do in free agency, but that offensive line is there. The quarterback's playing at a very high level, and everybody's attributing you for that success. That's not going away anytime soon. I just never understood the concern. I get it. He was going to interview. Good for him. He deserved to. I was actually flattering that 2 teams were really considering him for the position, Colts and Carolina. So I was never concerned. To me, the Lions were always the best situation for him. Now, you can pitch me one of 32 jobs. You can tell me, Adam, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, guaranteed money, Yeah, but why would I go to Carolina when I have no quarterback, a fifth of an offensive line, running backs, meh, and DJ Moore, who is aging? That's all I have. I have nothing. Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, J.C. Horn, salary cap, sure, nice and all, but it's a complete rebuild, man. Indianapolis, no draft capital. Matt Ryan, good luck. These aren't attractive jobs for a guy who's looking to make a name for himself. And when you do have the option to pick and choose where you go, like he does, I thought Detroit was always the right destination, Jeff.
Yeah, and honestly, the only reason why I was fearful was because of the reasons you just named. Number one, the guaranteed money. And number two, I have a lot of confidence in Ben just going into these interviews. Like, he's going to be liked by ownership. So it was never a question whether if he could get a job. It was whether if he felt like he was ready for a job. And maybe he looked at the field, to your point, and said, well, Carolina, Colts, Houston, Denver, it's not the most attractive destinations, and just because there's a job open doesn't mean it's a great job. But at the same time, it is 1 of 32. You do make a ton of money guaranteed. I mean, look at Cliff Kingsbury, for crying out loud. Guy bought a one-way ticket to Thailand and is out there with his model girlfriend. He still has $20 million that's owed to him. So I wouldn't have faulted him if he did take a job. Obviously, it's a promotion. But at the same time, maybe he's self-aware enough to know, like everything you just said, I can return to the Lions. I can still be a candidate next year, which at the same time isn't always promised. I don't think this will happen to Ben, but we've seen, coordinators return to their teams, and the following year, like, things change. Like, remember Byron Leftwich? We were huge, and I'm not going to compare. I think Ben, he's had a little more
100%.
Input on the offense. But I'm just saying this as an example. Byron Leftwich, we picked him to go to the Jags. We thought he was one of the hottest candidates. And this year, he might be fired from the Buccaneers. So things change. That's why I would have never faulted him. But honestly, if you're looking at situations, the Lions, no doubt, are the best situation for him. He just won't have that head coach title.
He proved it this past season. He took Jared Goff and turned him into a quarterback that we haven't seen since 2018. A guy that looks like he has a future in the NFL. Ben Johnson, again, if I'm choosing, or if I have an opportunity to choose where I go, Carolina, Indianapolis, Detroit, why would I not stay in Detroit where I have complete autonomy over the offense? It's already completely built. I'll have a speedster and Jameson Williams to add to my plate going into next season. Yes, probably they're going to re-sign Jamal Williams. I think that's a guarantee. And who knows what happens in free agency in the draft. It's a really good situation for an OC.
Yeah.
And then next year, what jobs likely will be available if the teams do not succeed? Let's fast track or look ahead. The Chargers job?
That's number one.
That's going to be available.
Yeah.
If they don't win a playoff game, Brandon Staley's out, let alone if they don't even make the playoffs. So that's already the job everybody's going to be looking for. And whoever wants to go after Sean Payton is going to have to pay a ton to even get him. And is that even worth it? Now, most people would say yes, and I would agree. But that's going to be something teams think about.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to go coach the Houston Texans? If I'm DeMeco Ryans, absolutely. Do I want to go coach the Indianapolis Colts if I'm Ben Johnson? You guys are picking, 4th in the draft?
Yeah.
No guarantee that the quarterback I want is even going to be there?
And
You have no draft capital?
You got Jim Irsay down in your ear telling you probably what to do.
2 owners, by the way. Carolina, and most of them are like this, but still, Carolina and Indianapolis, notably, the owners are heavily involved.
Right.
How much that affects your ability to work, I don't know. Everyone's different. But to me, he had all the power in the world, and, we'll get to this in about, 8 minutes, which is, what does it mean? What does it say about the Lions that Ben Johnson did this? I think people are overreacting. Oh, the culture's different. Oh my God, brand new Lions. I think that's a bunch of shit, to be honest. I think there's a little truth to it, but 5% truth. The other 95% is just overblown. I think people just really drinking a lot of Kool-Aid this morning and yesterday morning. And the reason I say that is he is a hot commodity.
Right.
He has the option. You didn't pay him more, and you'll probably...
They probably will.
They probably will.
Yeah.
But, again, if I'm Ben Johnson, I made a name for myself. I can go do it again in year 2. And even if I have a top 10, top 12 offense, it's not even top 5. I did it with Jared Goff.
Right.
I can take your quarterback, whoever it is, and make him play at a higher level. I've already proven that. Jared Goff, go look what he looked like without me when Anthony Lynn and Dan Campbell were taking over, and then when I took over. It's night and day. It's night and day. You know what the difference on offense was? DJ Chark. That's it.
Yeah.
And they traded away TJ Hawkinson, and he got better. He stopped throwing interceptions, actually.
Yeah.
So... We'll get to what it means, or what it says, about the Lions. But to me, Ben Johnson, so happy. This is a big move. And
I think, too, it's big because now you can prepare for his exit, right? Like this year, you had a 1 year with Ben, had an amazing year. You had a top 5 offense, one of the highest scoring offenses. Now that he's returning, now you understand if you have another good year offensively, Ben Johnson's out of here. It's just a matter of when, not if. Now you can prepare and at least have somebody coming up the ranks because good organizations, Adam, have plans for guys like this. And I'm saying Ben Johnson, great coordinator, doesn't take away anything he's done. But if you're the Ravens, the Rams, the 49ers, these teams replace guys like Ben. And not saying it'll be as efficient or as, it's sexy to the eyes watching the offense. It's still, you got to have a plan for if he leaves. And if he would have left this offseason, the only plan I had was Tanner Engstrand, and Ben might have took him with him to whatever job he went to. So now you have a year. You understand what's on the horizon, his future in this league. Now you can prepare for it. And Dan can, whether groom somebody to be the OC for next year, whatever the case may be, it's better now instead of him just leaving.
So
and you got to figure it out.
I see a lot of Goff support, and all this adulation and admiration and all the credit we're giving Ben Johnson doesn't take away from Jared Goff. But who do you attribute Daniel Jones' success to? Mr. Playoff win, by the way. Daniel Jones has as many playoff wins as the Detroit Lions do in franchise history, by the way. What a fucking smack in the face to wake up to on Monday morning.
Yeah, but that's coaching. I mean, that's important.
Brian
for
Daboll
any
and Mike
quarterback.
Kafka.
Right.
But that's not an issue because you know what Daniel Jones is. We know that Jared Goff is 5, 6, 7, 8 times better than what Daniel Jones is, at least as a passer.
Right.
Probably 15x the passer he is. What's the problem? What's the problem? You look at Goff's first year in Detroit. It was chaotic. Anthony Lynn didn't do a good enough job. You saw 3 out of his last 6... Excuse me. 3 out of Goff's last 6 games, he played at a pretty damn good level.
Yeah.
And then it was pretty consistent all year with Ben. Now, you want to point to New England, you want to point to Dallas. That's fair. Those were very difficult games to watch. But at the end of the day, that's any quarterback in an NFL season. It's 17 games. You're going to have a few duds.
Right.
I thought Goff played excellent this year. And I think a big part of it was Ben Johnson. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
To me, coaching is so important in this league. It's more important than any other league. In basketball, hockey, baseball, rugby, I don't give a shit what you're playing. There's no sport where coaching matters more than in the NFL. And we're going to get to that at 8:45. Because coaching matters, and you saw a little bit with Dan Campbell and how he really evolved when everything was chaotic and everything was at rock bottom and they were 1-6 and he had all the records that pointed against him. He recovered. So coaching matters. And we'll get to that at 8:45, but I do want to take a quick break. When we get back, what does Ben Johnson's announcement say about the Detroit Lions? Is it the brand new Lions? Is it more to say about their leadership group, Sheila Hamp, Brad Holmes? You want to look at Dorsey, Spielman, whoever you want. Is it a positive thing? Is it overblown? I think you kind of know where I sit with this, so we'll have that conversation coming up. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at the Sports Marketing Agency.
The Sports Marketing Agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com for more information.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends at Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck, because it is the home of the original football bowling game. 2 to play for $12, the unlimited open play, or you can pay $120 for a lane reservation for up to 10 people. They also have the $2 mystery beer machine, full bar. Check it all out, fullingwarehouse.com.
Can I say something on behalf of the morning show? We're happy to have you back.
Oh,
Thank you.
Look at behalf of the morning show.
Yeah. All of us. Jeff, Alex,
Even
me.
Alex.
Yeah. We're happy to have you back.
Wow, I am shocked. Floored.
I mean, I guess Alex can talk too, but I'm assuming we're all on the same page.
All right, how about you fix
Of
your
book number 59.
Fix your camera,
Well,
because there's like 15 inches of separation.
there we go. That's
Oh, there
better?
you go.
It was
There you
funny.
go.
Stick with Fish. He would give him positive reinforcement. He'd be
Oh, is that
nice
what
to
he did?
Fish until you got back, and then you'd be. So
Yeah.
he gets a little
Do
balance.
your fucking job right, dude.
I'll try.
You gotta check your camera, check your mic. Like, we talk to you a lot.
Yeah.
Make sure you're looking great, all right?
I mean, I can't help what I look like, but I can help how I am
That's true.
seen
You can't
by
fix
the-
ugly, but you
Yeah.
can at least
No,
fix the angle.
Yeah. Got it.
I love you, buddy.
Fish, you're a
Oh,
sexy
God.
son of a bitch. You know that.
Oh, God. Fish, you could have my wife any day of the week. She's all yours. Anyways,
alrighty.
what does Ben Johnson's announcement say about the Detroit Lions? And at first glance, I think it's fair to say, well, this is new, right? When's the last time you've ever had a coordinator who was looking at multiple offers, rumors, the favorite to get a job,
Yeah.
and he's decided to stay? That's fair. I do get it.
When does that happen?
It's a big deal. Well, it's never happened because
Right.
you've always hired shit coaches.
Yeah.
Right? right? So, there's context to it. But there is some validity. Having said that, let's slow our roll here. Would you take the Indianapolis job? And I'm not saying you as in you who you are right now. If you were in Ben Johnson's shoes, you're a successful coordinator, you've made a damn good living, financially you are looking bright, everything's looking great, it's on the upside, and you know what? You know the next year or two you're probably going to land a head coaching job. When are you going to take it? Now, or do you wait? Or do you go back to Detroit? And if you're honest with yourself, you evaluate all three teams, Carolina, Indianapolis, Detroit. There's no better situation than Detroit. To me, I would have been shocked if he had gone, because he would be passing up coaching a top 10 offense, Jared Goff, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, a deep backfield, a very good offensive line. I would be shocked if he left. And he didn't. And I understand why. So, to me, there isn't a problem. There isn't this overwhelming evidence that's going on behind the scenes in Allen Park that, oh my goodness, things are changing. They are.
Yes.
It looks a lot better. But let's not act like Houston, Indianapolis, or Carolina are these attractive jobs, because he could have easily been Urban Meyer in those situations. Now, you could say, well, he could take the job, make the money, and then go back to being a coordinator. Nobody wants to fail. And last I checked, if I'm taking a job, I'm going to take the job that I think I can really turn it around and have a successful head coaching career. And maybe he's not a good head coach. We don't know that. He could go to the right situation and absolutely suck. But you got to give yourself the best chance to succeed, and I think the best one right now this year is in Detroit.
And I think that's why and I get what you're saying, but the changes in Allen Park, I do believe are true, because the situation was enticing enough for him to return. And that's what's different, too. Coordinators would look around and see the Colts, the Texans, the Broncos, and the Panthers and say, oh, yeah, these are better situations, and I'm getting guaranteed money. The fact that he's returning because of what they're building in Allen Park with the Detroit Lions, that's what's different to me. You haven't seen that in the past, and you're right, they haven't hired the best coaches. But also, they have never had the best situation, which I think is what's different about this current regime, right? You want to love where you work. That you want to enjoy coming to work. And the fact that Ben Johnson with the Lions, not only does he enjoy the culture, enjoy who he works with, but he enjoys who he's coaching. That's important. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell has done a fantastic job finding the right guys. So for Ben to say, hey, instead of taking any of these jobs or even continuing the interview, I'm going to return back to the Detroit Lions, because and number one, it's not just return back to the Detroit Lions. He says he wants to finish what they started. He wants to be there when this team takes that next step. So the belief that Ben has in the Lions, that's a first for me. To see an assistant coach come out, an offensive coordinator, a hot commodity offensive coordinator, say, you know what? I'm going to go back to Detroit. And you're right, it is one of the best situations for him. But on top of that, though, just to want to return, to take less money. He's not going to make as much as he's going to be as a head coach, but you're right. He'll probably be a commodity next year. But just the simple fact that he likes the situation he's returning to and avoiding a bag, I think is the most important point. And that's kind of what tells me things are different. Is in the past, people would be like, I got to get the hell out of here. This is the place where coordinators and coaches go to die. Now it's not like that. They're slowly turning. The tide is turning in terms of having an organization that coordinators, players, coaches want to return to. So that's the big thing for me. And although I get what you're saying, I do think it speaks a lot to how the organization is kind of turning that tide and becoming more respectable. Like the fact that Ben said, hey, I like what they're building, that says it all to me. It really does.
So here's what we all need to understand. Of the I want to say 500. I want to do the number right. Let's do 518 divided by 107. Okay. So, of the 518 NFL coaches ever in NFL history, only 20% of them have a winning record. You have an 80% fail rate if you want to use wins and losses as your barometer. You have a 20% success rate in the NFL as a head coach. It's hard. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Ben Johnson has a bright future. Everything you said about the Lions organization, I would agree with. I'm actually very, very impressed with what leadership has done.
Right.
It starts with Sheila, of course, and then you go to Brad Holmes. I think Brad Holmes has been so integral, but, we'll save all the offseason talk. But put yourself in his shoes, man. That's always what I'm going to go back to. You look at Anthony Lynn and what he did with Jared Goff with the same tools, and it was garbage. Ben Johnson becomes the offensive passing game coordinator. He's helping Dan Campbell put up all the plays. Dan Campbell's calling the plays, but it's Ben Johnson doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work.
Scheming, yeah.
And what do you know? Amon-Ra St. Brown suddenly emerges as a phenomenal 7, 8, 9 catches a game wide receiver down the stretch. By accident. You go into year one of Ben Johnson as a full offensive coordinator. They were really hush on it in the offseason. Oh, we'll see if Ben's going to call. We'll see how he does, yada, yada, yada. Dude coaches a top 5 offense in Detroit with no premier wide receiver, no premier quarterback, nobody on the offense that you say, oh, that is an all-pro player. Now, we think Panay's an all-pro player, of course. You think Amon-Ra has all-pro potential because of his production, but I don't see your Diggs, your Josh Allen, your Joe Burrow, your Trevor Lawrence. It's just not there. And he had a top 5 offense with that.
Right.
Now, in Detroit, we all know the offensive line is phenomenal. We all know how good St. Brown is. Chark has been pretty solid when healthy. Josh Reynolds reliable. Khalif Raymond reliable. So we understand, in Detroit what this team has. But from a national perspective, the conversation these owners and GMs are having about this young man is, what the hell did he just do in Detroit?
Yeah.
Look,
keyword in Detroit.
In Detroit, it matters.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, that's your label. And that's why they were after him. And whether it was Sam Darnold in Carolina or Matt Ryan, and maybe Jim Irsay said, you know what, maybe you can get one good year out of Matt Ryan and we can make a run, and then we'll go into a rebuild. Who knows? But I know if I'm a GM, and prior to Ben Johnson announcing he was leaving, there are 3 coaches I'm calling, man, and it's going to be the same 3 every time. Ben Johnson, DeMeco Ryans, Mike Kafka. You see what they've done with Daniel Jones. You've seen what Ben Johnson has done with Jared Goff. And, of course, DeMeco Ryans. You want to talk about a culture guy? He could change a culture. I hope Houston hires him. That would be the right move if I were them.
Yeah,
but,
I agree.
You know, that's a whole different conversation. So that's where I'm at with Ben. I'm happy he's back.
Yeah.
I really am.
And I think the player that gets affected most by this Ben Johnson decision is Jameson Williams. Because you saw what Ben was able to do when he got the promotion, started scheming things up in the pass game. Amon-Ra St. Brown took off in the second half of last season. Now you have a full season with Ben calling plays. Now you have a whole entire offseason of Goff and Jameson establishing that chemistry, that rapport, and the fact that you have Ben for one more season with Jameson, a healthy Jameson, knock on wood. That's the best case. So I think Jameson's excited. Obviously, Amon-Ra's excited if you saw his story. But the entire offense, even if they regress a little bit, I don't know if they'll be top 5 again because obviously now the film's out there, but they'll still be a top 10 offense, no question about it.
Do you think Ben Johnson's getting too much credit for the success the offense has had, along with Jared Goff and Dan Campbell not getting enough of it?
I actually made that argument yesterday. I don't think Dan deserves more credit, but I do think Dan gets... I think people look at the macho aura of Dan and they think, well, they have his genius offensive coordinator. Dan's just kind of like a placeholder.
There's a lot of smarts behind that macho.
Yes,
I would agree with that.
If anybody's watched the Manning Cast this week Monday night, he's breaking down the game. He's an intelligent guy, and I think
what did he say about
offensively
Anthony Lynn?
He deserves a lot of credit. Anthony Lynn, on the other hand,
no. What did he say about Anthony Lynn?
He was
right. It was respected guy. He brought him in.
He was nice.
And what did he say after the fact? Well, I need a guy.
Yeah.
Who can see through my vision for what I think this offense can be. And, I always go back to the last game of the season. Green Bay, that little that catch and go or whatever you want to call it, that hook and ladder, whatever you want to call that play. That was Dan Campbell in a nutshell. Now, Ben Johnson's the play caller. They schemed it, sure. But to me, Dan Campbell enables Ben Johnson to do all this. Mm-hmm. So I agree. I think Dan deserves a ton of credit. But we're not talking about Dan Campbell right now. We're talking about your offensive coordinator. And I think you guys need to stop overreacting a little bit. Just because you're giving credit to one guy doesn't mean the other doesn't get any.
Right.
Dan Campbell really, really changed the narrative on himself and his upside and his projection for the future over the last 10 games of the season. At 1-6, it was, oh God, is this another Matt Patricia, Hugh Jackson? And after an 8-2 finish, you're like, you know what? There might be something there.
Yeah.
And now you're actually on board. So I actually don't have a problem with it. I don't.
No.
Oh, man. I remember the offense turned around when MCDC took over. That's true and not true. If scoring, 16 points against the Steelers and 19 against Cleveland is turning it around, I don't agree.
And I think that's
now, it looked better because it was shit
Yes.
under Anthony Lynn. Yes, it did look better immediately. And Goff got better, I would say, in the last 4 or 5 games of the year that he played. Yeah. But let's relax here. It wasn't a top 5 offense like it was this year with Ben Johnson.
But they also didn't have the same, like Frank Ragnow was out the whole season. Amon-Ra never emerged until late. They
had their
DJ
injuries
Chark
this year as well.
Yeah, and TJ was injured. Like they went through a lot last year. That's why I think people.
Well, that's where you and me
It's
differ.
hard to compare this year to last year in the situation.
Sure, but this is where you and me differ. You would go internally and promote somebody if Ben Johnson were to leave. I would just let Dan Campbell call the plays. Because, like I said, I think he embodies this offense. It's an identity of Dan.
Right.
Now, is Ben the creative? Is he behind the scenes making all these cool stuff? And oh my goodness, he's calling a hell of a game? Sure, but I think it's done through Dan's vision for the offense. You don't just get to go for it on 4th down as many times if your head coach isn't okay with it. Like, that is all through Dan.
Right.
That's why Dan gets the praise and the knocks when it does or doesn't work on 4th down, because no coordinator has the fucking, how do I want to say this? No coordinator has the pull to call a 4th down play without the fucking head coach's approval. Just doesn't work like that, right? So I think it's a beautiful partnership. I think they both complement each other, and I'll always go back to what Dan said after he got rid of Anthony Lynn. I need somebody who can see through my vision for the offense. Ben Johnson has done that and some. It's made everybody look better. It's a team effort. It's a coaching effort. As a unit, no problem. But losing him as a coordinator would have sucked. Having said that, he's staying, so we'll move on. When we get back, the state of the NFC North. Kirk Cousins likely back in Minnesota. We'll see what they do. The
Hopefully.
GM was a bit unsure. Minnesota, man, they lost. So we didn't get to talk about that, but I got to say,
did I not call the
you
Giants?
nailed your playoff picks, by the way.
Yeah.
I think you only missed one.
Yeah, I missed the Bucks and Cowboys. And then
You nailed everything else.
Yeah, I went with the Chargers, but after the show, we saw Mike Williams was injured. I'm like, I'm nervous.
Yeah, no,
Mike
you
Williams
switched.
is
No,
hurt.
after the news came out, obviously.
I was like, I gotta. But that Bucks game. But I saw the Giants. I'm like, listen, the Giants, good matchup. They only lost by 3 points.
Well, look, I want to talk
Early
about
in
the
the year.
North because Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago. I know Minnesota's coming off 13-4. They're a damn good team. A very, very good offense. 1 possession games, 11-0, unrealistic. We said it throughout the whole season. Now, do I think they're frauds? No. Do I think they're a 13-win team? No, I don't. But do I think they're a 9-10 win team in a normal NFL season? Probably.
Right.
That 11-0 should be 7-4, or 8-3 at best. You don't go 11-0 in 1 possession games. But we'll talk about the North and why the Lions are the standard, in my opinion. And I think you share the same one going into next season. So we'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. No appointment necessary. Their awesome stylists will take care of you like they take care of me. So what are you waiting for? Get to a local Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
All right, let me tell you about my good friends over at Matrix Home Solutions. Professional contractors, the most professional in the business, A+ rating on the Better Business Bureau. Whether you're looking to renovate your basement, your kitchen, you're looking to renovate, hell, your bathroom. They're the best at it, they're the cleanest, and they do the best work. So what are you waiting for? Give them a call, 888-594-8844. That's 888-594-8844. We are back here on the Morning Woodward Show, live, woodwardsports.com. As always, Adham, Beydoun, Jeff, Iafrate. Pickled pizza. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's delicious.
By the way, for any of you who
Really
haven't tried Chubby Charlie's pickled pizza, it's...
And I don't even like pickles.
I'm not a pickle guy on pizza. I find that disturbing until I tried it.
Yeah, it was
and
really
I
good.
was genuinely surprised. But moving on. State of the NFC North. So Minnesota coming off a 13-4 season. The defending NFC North champions. They will likely bring back Kirk Cousins. Who knows what they do in the offseason. But I think where things get interesting with Minnesota are they have a lot of work to do on defense. I don't think anybody questions the offense. But that defense is awful. And they don't have the draft capital, and they don't have the salary cap to fix that defense tomorrow. They just don't. So they're still going to be a good team because of the talent they have, and I like Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a good coach. Do I think he's outstanding? That is always to be determined with any young coach. But I think a very impressive first season in Minnesota. I don't think anybody would have picked them not only to win the North the way they did, but to win 13 games. Impressive.
Right.
Nonetheless, moving on. Chicago, complete rebuild. Not sure what the hell they're doing in Chicago. You know how I feel about that situation.
Not 0-17, but 3-14. So you're
finished with the worst record in the NFL.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Moving on. The Green Bay Packers, what will happen with Aaron Rodgers if he retires? They're in cap hell. If he comes back, they have nothing to support him with. It is a disaster in Green Bay. And I think we all saw, even in Tampa, look at Tampa Bay. And I want you to look at Tampa Bay and mirror them with the Green Bay Packers. You know what they are? You know what they are, Jeff? You know why they lost to the Cowboys? Because they're an 8-9 football team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what an 8-9 football team looks like. I don't care that they were at home. They were 8-9 for a fucking reason. Because they weren't good enough. Just like the Packers this year were not good enough. I don't care about the excuses. I don't care about anything. They just weren't good enough. So going into next season, man, you can call it Kool-Aid. You can call it, flip-flop. You can call it whatever the fuck you want. All I know is that the Detroit Lions are poised to make a legitimate run for the NFC North, and I would go out on a limb. I don't think it's a limb, to be honest. I think it's general consensus at the moment, and say that the Lions should win, and they are the favorites, in my opinion, to win the NFC North in 2023. I have no doubts about it, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think the big stat to look at is their division record. 5-1, and even during the stretch where the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, you almost beat Minnesota on the road. Like, if it wasn't for that play by KJ Osborne, you'd have a victory. So you would have been 6-0 in the division on a year where you're 9-8. I mean, that's the most impressive stat to me. And if you look at the NFC North, too, they had the highest point differential, which matters. I mean, even for a team like the Vikings, they were 13-4. They were -3, which was the most oddest thing ever. Packers, 8-9. They were -1. And then the Bears, when we're going to talk about the Bears, they were -137. But the point is, the Lions, although their record was 9-8, they were much better. They just started so bad at 1-6. The defense looked atrocious, dealt with a lot of injuries, so on and so forth. But all of these stats combined with the fact that you have assets in the draft, you have plenty of assets, you have money in free agency, you're retaining a lot of these players, you ended the season on a great note. Although the playoffs would have been the most ideal situation, you still ended it in the best way you could if you didn't make the playoffs, which is beating the Packers and knocking them out. This team now has confidence. They have moxie. They played in the biggest game of a lot of those guys' careers in Green Bay, and they took advantage of it. So moving forward, there's no doubt in my mind, now that you kept Ben Johnson especially, that retaining Ben, keeping that consistency, right? Retaining everybody that helped you get to 9-8. They're going to build on that. Players are going to get better. It's going to be Jared Goff one more year in Ben's system. Everybody's going to get more comfortable. And now there's an expectation, which good teams have, right? You go 3 wins the first year, you're 1-6. The fact that you get to 9 wins, you go from 3 to 9-8. The expectation next year, although it's higher, you want them to be in those types of situations. You want the expectation next year to be minimum playoffs. And looking how the NFC North is trending with the Vikings and the cap situation, the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, that's a whole nother situation. Whether he stays or goes, they're in cap hell. And the Bears are probably 2 years away from even making serious noise in the NFC North. So the Lions, to me, have the brightest future, and they're poised next season to take that next step. And to do that 5-1 with young players, I think that's the most important thing, because those guys now only know in their head that they're beating these NFC North teams. It's not like back then where you're like, oh, the big bad Packers. They beat them twice.
On the road.
On the road, one of those. Like, there's no fear with these guys, and you have Jared Goff, who I think can still win big games. We'll see how the future holds up. But, yeah, I agree with you 100%. The Lions next year, although they might not be favorites, the Vikings, coming off the year they had, probably will be. I wouldn't be shocked.
I would be willing
Lions
to challenge you on that. I would say August of this upcoming year. Let's revisit that. I'm willing to put a steak dinner for everybody in the room that the Lions will have not only the highest odds to win the North, they will be NFC North favorites, 100%.
Yeah.
I think on most sports books and most reputable sites. I'm not going to go pull out one from a Washington Commander fan page account or something. We're going to look at reputable accounts and see where they're at in August, okay? Steak dinner on me for all of you if they're not the favorites, but I'm pretty damn sure they will be. Having said that, let me ask you this, Jeff. You look at the Bears, okay? They need an offensive line. They need wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And they just traded basically a first-round pick for Chase Claypool, so that's not working out.
Yeah.
They need edge rushers, linebackers, and their secondary is meh, but, they can improve.
Right.
They're in a full rebuild. Like you said, I think they're 2 years away. I would agree. Minnesota can compete for the North next year, but I play law of averages, man. I don't think you can go 11-0 in one-possession games again. Even if you only played 8 next year, let's say 8 games were one possession, you would be lucky to be 5-3. I would be shocked if Minnesota was 5-3 in one-possession games next year. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
What has kept the Bills from getting the number 1 seed all these years? The one year they did, or I believe they were 13-3, I believe, Josh Allen's second-place MVP year when Aaron Rodgers won it.
Yep.
You know what they were in one-possession games? 8-0. And then they were 3-3, and then 4-4. And that's just how the NFL works. Because it's one misstep, one fumble, one interception, one bad decision, one drop pass that changes the whole game. That's the NFL.
Right.
So I don't expect Minnesota to duplicate this. It's just impossible.
It's hard. Especially the Vikings, they have a lot of guys they're going to have to pay. Like, they're already negotiating with Justin Jefferson. You got TJ coming up. Like, you got to know, what are you doing with Kirk and the money he's making? There's a lot of things the Vikings got to figure out.
I got to give the Vikings credit. That Hawkinson trade, to me, given the production he gave you.
Oh, yeah, he was productive.
I thought that was worth a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Now, are they going to be able to pay him? Who knows? They should. They should if they want to keep that offense together. It was explosive, but your defense is god-awful.
Yeah.
And why'd the Giants win? Because they were able to get off the field at certain times. Why did the Jaguars win? Oh, they were able to recover from 27-0.
Hold the Chargers to 3.
3 second-half points.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right, so you got to find ways to win with defense in the NFL. The Lions beat the Packers 15-9. Why? Timely turnovers. In the red zone, Kirby Joseph 2 picks, Aiden Hutchinson interception. And that helps. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, actually. So that's the game we're playing here. And the Packers, I have to disregard them because I don't know Aaron Rodgers' future. I just don't. Yeah. So until I know his future, which either way is bad for the Packers, I'm going to assume they're not division contenders next year.
I would agree.
So there you have it, Detroit. I think you're at the top of the table right now. I think you're on top of the not only the NFC North, I think you're one of the 4, maybe you could argue 5 best NFC teams. Now, if you think the Cowboys are better than the Lions, I think that's a fair opinion to have, especially after what you watched over the weekend. But I have a lot of issues with what they're paying Dak Prescott. I have a lot of issues with what they're paying Zeke. But you know what? They are the team they are right now. We'll see what happens in the offseason. But I think going into next year, you could argue top 4 team in the NFC.
And I want to see how they respond to that. Like, this is the first time they would come into the season, and like you said, maybe they're even division favorites. How do they handle that? And that's coaching. That's especially with young players. That's the biggest thing I'm going to be paying attention to, because they did it 8-2 down the stretch with little to no expectations. Now you have real expectations to win your division and get to the playoffs.
Without saying brand new Lions, right? Because that's the theme,
right?
Have you ever been more confident in a staff, in a leadership group to overcome that and actually deliver? I would go on a limb here, and again, I was born in 94, so you can't hold anything before that against me. Fuck off. But even under Caldwell and Schwartz, there was doubt that they could overcome and win those big games and win those key divisional games and win a game late in December, early January, and not lose to the Bengals when you can fucking win the division, and not lose to Green Bay when you can win the division at 11-4. So, to me, I've never been more confident. Now, is that a good thing or bad? I don't know. I'm hopeful. I am. I really am. I'm genuinely optimistic about this. But the key thing for me, Jeff, more than anything, not just the North. You talk about expectations and can they live up to it? Can they deliver? I think they've proven in the 10-game stretch that, hey, you know what? We take ourselves seriously. We're about this. We think we're better than what our record would indicate. And you know what? When they were 1-6, Jeff, as hard as we were on them, especially me, what was one thing you and I agreed on 100% and we pushed out? They're not as bad as their record says they are.
No.
They don't look like a 1-6 team. 1-6 teams don't have a top 5 offense. Now, they have the worst defense in the NFL. That's a fact. But they usually don't have that type of offensive production. And the late game blunders, the fourth quarter blunders, the one possession losses, it's just frustrating. But then they got over it. And then they learned how to win on the road. And then they won 3 road games in a row before they lost to Carolina.
Right.
And then it was, all right, well, let's go beat the Packers and beat them twice. Let's go beat the Bears and beat them twice. Nice, huh? So I think they've earned it. You can ask the question. I think it's fair. They'll obviously be the ones to answer it next season, but I think there's a lot of confidence going into next season, man. I really do.
Yeah, I would agree. And if there's a coach that has proven to be able to trust in these situations, to keep these guys on track, it would be Dan Campbell and the assistant coaches and how they've improved. I mean, Ben's been great pretty much all year for the most part, but AG and his development, improving the defense in the second half, a lot to look forward to. So I'm with you. Lions this year, they're coming for that NFC North. They'll be at least contending. I do believe that.
All right, well, let's take a break. When we get back, why coaching matters. And this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about because it's so true and so important. In the NFL, there is no more important position than quarterback, but yes, coaching. Being a head coach, a good head coach, is everything. And we'll cite a few first-year coaches, second-year coaches, including Dan Campbell. And what traits and qualities he's shown that could project him into the future as being one of maybe the better head coaches not only you've had, but maybe one of the better coaches in the league, which I can't believe I'm saying. So we'll do that in a bit, but before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Cintron.
Let me tell you about them. Cintron World is an aspirational lifestyle beverage brand with a line of sparkling flavored energy beverages and premium bottled water. Cintron is the official energy drink of the Red Wings, proud partners with the Detroit Pistons, and served exclusively at Little Caesars Arena. Buy online at drinkcintron.com. Cintron is also available on Amazon. You can follow them on all social media at Cintron World. To join the Cintron lifestyle, from hockey games to concerts to charity events, Cintron, go get one. They're delicious.
What's a winter wonderland if you can't shop, eat, and play? Lucky for you, you can do it all at the Downtown Detroit Market, Cadillac Lodge, and the new winter version of the Monroe Street Midway, all located just across the street from Campus Martius Park. Find the fun at deckedoutdetroit.com.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
At Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA today.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show, live, woodwardsports.com. As always, why coaching matters, and I want to start with Dan Campbell. And then I want to compare him, fair or not fair, to some of his predecessors, some of the people that he was hired on board with when he first came to Detroit, and some guys that were hired after the fact, okay? And Dan Campbell, 7 games into the season, it did not look good. A lot of doubts, I think rightfully so. 4-19-1, 0-11-1 on the road, 0-10-1 in one-possession games. It was just very frustrating that a team with so much promise, and I wouldn't say an easy schedule, it's the NFL, but hey, you know what? A friendly schedule to start the year, and you put out that. Okay, moving on. 8-2 down the stretch. They looked like one of the best teams in football, one of the 5-6 best teams, I could argue, and they barely missed the playoffs. That, to me, is a hell of a job. And you don't win 8 out of 10 games on accident. See, there's a difference. What is more impressive to you, Jeff? Going 11-0 in one-possession games or winning 8 out of 10 games?
I mean, I'm always going to go with the team that made the playoffs. I know
No, not playoffs.
Okay, then yes, I'll go with the 8-2.
2 samples. That's it.
I'll go with 8-2.
And I would agree. Why?
They had much more dominant wins during that stretch.
I don't want you to take into context the Lions or the Vikings. Forget the teams. This is just 2 data points. What's more impressive? What's more predictable about future success? 11-0 in one-possession games in a given season, or winning 8 out of 10 games in a given stretch?
Well, the 11-0 isn't sustainable.
Thank you.
Like that's the problem. So I would say 8-2.
That's the point. And your money, you're 100% correct. So when we talk about what Dan Campbell did down the stretch, to me, that's what's caused all this optimism. Yes, the winning is nice. I think had they gone 6-4, you'd probably still be feeling really good about this team. But the fact that they went 8-2 and were dominant and played 60-minute football the way they did, I think that is a key for all this.
Yep.
So we look at Brian Daboll, for example, right? Hired to the Giants. Clear rebuild. They don't have a quarterback. They have no wide receivers. An okay offensive line, Saquon Barkley coming back, a few defensive pieces, Adoree Jackson, Dexter Lawrence. There's some nice pieces there. Kayvon Thibodeau, they draft him 5th overall. Okay. All right, there's something there. But it's a rebuild. And he leads them to the playoffs his first year. And they win a playoff game his first year. And he has Daniel Jones only throwing 5 interceptions, the lowest in his career, starting 17 games. Running more. It completely turned around their identity. Doug Pederson takes over for Urban Meyer. They spend money in the offseason, yes. But to pick them as division winners before the season would have been crazy. And I don't think it was justifiable, even when I did it. You're going out on a limb by saying that. Now, Tennessee's regression, how they started, 7-2 and finished 8-9 was unbelievable. Or 7
Yeah, they were.
What did I say, 7-10?
You're about correct.
Or 8-9, regardless.
They were top of the division.
You couldn't have predicted that, but the point is, you look at Doug Pederson. First year with the team. Trevor Lawrence has the greatest statistical improvement in passer rating from year 1 to year 2 in NFL history by a landslide. From week 8 to the end of the regular season, he was the best quarterback statistically across every category in the NFL. Trevor Lawrence. And that's why you hire Doug Pederson, because you want to invest in your franchise quarterback. And what does he do his first year? He wins a division. He wins a playoff game somehow, some way, where his quarterback throws 4 interceptions. Unbelievable. And they find a way to win. All in year 1. But now let's go to the year 2 guys. Guys in their second seasons. You look back at the guys that were hired during Dan Campbell's class. Robert Saleh, Arthur Smith. Both have yet to make the playoffs, just like Dan Campbell, right? Both are amid rebuilds, but should be doing better. But if I were to pitch you which situation you would choose, would you take the Jets, the Falcons, or the Lions? Now, I'd expect most of you, because you live in Detroit, to answer Detroit, obviously. But let's look at this objectively. I don't have a quarterback in Atlanta. I immediately rule them out. The Jets have so much talent on defense that I would actually consider them. Having said that, they do not have a quarterback I can depend on. I rule them out automatically, which means I'm left with the Lions. Is there a problem? You want to go to another first-year coach? Mike McDaniel. Tua misses, what, half of the season? And they're in the playoffs, and they almost knock out the second seed in the Buffalo Bills. And they play them a one-possession game as, what, 15.5 point dogs? With Skylar Thompson? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So that's promising. So I don't want to hear that it takes time or that coaching, they can only do so much. You can do a lot. You can do a lot. Daboll's proved it. Pete Carroll, to his credit, how he got Seattle in the playoffs is beyond me. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell this year proved not only he's not one of those guys that I think is going to completely fall apart. Now, is he a good coach, an excellent coach? Can he win a playoff game? Can he win a division? I don't know. We're going to find out. That's the beauty of all this. We'll find out. But he at least gives you some motivation, some optimism going into next season and the future. At 1-6, we opened the phone lines. We did the polls. Nobody was confident. Why should they be? I don't even blame you guys. I don't even blame I laugh now looking back. I actually laugh looking back. Because nobody would have called 8-2 down the stretch. And they did it, to their credit. And it makes our jobs so much easier now moving forward as fans, of course, and as people that work in the media. So coaching matters. It really does. More than any other sport. And why do you think Ben Johnson's getting called? Anybody?
Because
just because his name is Ben Johnson and he's white. Is that why?
And because of the 8 teams left in the playoffs, there's only one coach that has a defensive background. So that's also part of it too. Sean McDermott. It's an offensive league.
Jared Goff, could you tell me what he looked like his first year in Detroit and his last year in Los Angeles? Just say it. One word. Sum up his last 2 years there.
Mid.
Los Angeles to Detroit.
Mid.
You're kind by saying mid. Just say shit. It was shit.
Yeah, it was.
And Ben Johnson,
was terrible.
To his credit, along with Dan Campbell, allowed Jared Goff to have his best statistical season since 2018, where he was considered an MVP and a franchise quarterback. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's getting courted. And that's why Dan Campbell is so beloved and people are so inspired by him now. Because it's not just all talk. See, that's the problem. At 1-6, it was just talk. Culture, we're changing. It's not the same old Lions. We just got to find a way to win, man. That's all talk. You got to do it. And now that they've done it, so much easier to talk about this team.
Yeah.
So much easier to project where they can go. Who knows? And that's the beauty. So to me, I think Dan has earned the right to be talked about in a way where you can be optimistic about his trajectory. Fair or not fair?
No, it's fair. Especially how we ended the season. You go 8-2 down the stretch. You challenge teams like Buffalo And like I said, there's only one team left with a defensive coach, and that's Sean McDermott. And we know how great, they still haven't figured out a lot of things in Buffalo. They don't have a running game. They're really heavily dependent on Josh Allen. But still, Buffalo's a contender. But besides that, all offensive coaches. That's what gives me confidence with Dan. Offensive background. We talked about Sean Payton's quote. He could be the offensive version of Mike Vrabel. Now, you got to see proof. You got to see him take this team to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I understand all that. But to have optimism he can do that isn't crazy, depending on, showing how he ended last season. So, I mean, Dan, in my opinion, I still believe if the Lions got in, they would have been, especially if they faced a team like Minnesota, they maybe could have had a playoff game this year, but then none of that matters. You started 1-6. They can't start like that next season. That's probably the bigger thing to pay attention to is how the Lions start. But no question, how they end the season, I got confidence that even in these playoff games, and Dan has shown down the stretch of the season, he's outcoached good coaches. Like he went to New York and took care of the Giants.
He's outcoached those guys that we just named.
He's outcoached them. Now, you can say all that while you're at home. I mean, while the Giants win a playoff game.
What do you think of all that social media talk, by the way? The Lions should be playing tonight. I don't want to watch the Buccaneers. I don't want to watch the Vikings. I don't want to watch these teams.
If you want to tell me that, Jeff, the Lions would have beaten the Bucs and would have beaten the Vikings, okay, that's fine.
But they would have played the Niners. And would they have beaten the Niners? I would say no.
No, they wouldn't have. Now, I would have loved to see the matchup.
Would they play better, I think? Sure, maybe. But I think the Niners would have ran all over that defense.
The what-ifs thing, I mean.
I know. I thought it was funny. I was home.
No, it is.
I was dying, and I was like,
and I think there's some merit in that, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to take care of business. I mean, there's a reason why. Say what you want about the Vikings, the Giants, Seattle. They won the games they needed to win. You had a chance to beat Seattle. And like you famously said, you couldn't force an effing punt.
One fucking punt. Think about that. Detroit. Honestly, it's funny now. The season's over. Like, we can joke a little bit. You missed out on the playoffs because you couldn't force the Seattle fucking Seahawks to punt once. Think about that. Or that you couldn't hold a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter against the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
Think about that. That's so fucked up.
So, but if those things go different, Lions get in, maybe we have a different narrative. But
who knows?
No question.
I just think it's funny.
No question, people should be optimistic. I think Dan has at least put himself in the good coach picture. I wouldn't say he's an elite coach or anything like that, but
he's
a good
win
coach
to prove that. But I think he's at least not Cliff Kingsbury, who just got fired, or Matt Rule, who was fired. That matters, man. It really does. And you know what? What is it, 20... God, is it 2021?
When?
So, of the 20... How many coaches was it? 7 coaches in 2021. Brandon Staley, Urban Meyer, Nick Sirianni, Dan Campbell, Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh, David Culley. Those were the 7 hires. That's his class. So, I want to wrap up. I have a minute and a half here, okay? Those are the 7 coaches, of which David Culley, Urban Meyer are gone. Okay? They're gone. Brandon Staley has made the playoffs, hasn't won a playoff game yet, but he has a winning record. Nick Sirianni, playoffs in both years.
Yeah.
Probably going to win his first playoff game this year. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But they look really good. That was a good hire for them. Arthur Smith, still rebuilding, no quarterback. I don't know what the fuck they're waiting for. Atlanta has to get a quarterback. It's not Desmond Ridder, for God's sake.
Right.
Robert Saleh, get a damn quarterback. And if you can't, you're both going to get fired. Arthur Smith and Robert Saleh. But where do they fall? Where does Dan Campbell belong? Let me ask you that. With Brandon Staley and Nick Sirianni, or Arthur Smith and Robert Saleh? Or is he somewhere in the middle?
Yeah. It's tough because you just kind of made the point. Saleh and Arthur Smith don't have a quarterback. Imagine Jared Goff in New York. Like, you don't think Saleh would love Jared Goff in New York. But that doesn't take away anything Dan's done.
Is he with those two? Or is he with Sirianni?
I would say he's in that realm of coaches. Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh.
So
I think maybe if you want to give Staley a slight edge,
I'm going to disagree.
Staley walked into the Chargers. I think that matters too. I mean, Dan walked into a full rebuild.
Situation does matter. I agree, but I'm going to disagree. I don't think he belongs to Robert Saleh and Arthur Smith, to his credit. I think what he did down the stretch won a lot of admiration from me. I'm going to put him in the middle because I don't think he's on the verge of getting fired like an Arthur Smith and Robert Saleh will be next year if they don't have success.
Oh, yeah, he ain't getting fired.
But the only way he could get fired is if he has a 3-4 win season next year, which I don't think is happening.
Right.
But he doesn't belong to Nick Sirianni or Brandon Staley. They've made the playoffs. One has won his division. It's just 2 different conversations. But he's somewhere in the middle. And of the 5 remaining coaches, I would rank him 3rd. And I'm kind of okay with that, given Nick Sirianni has the best team in Philly. And all of the NFC, they are the best team, you could argue, in terms of roster. Maybe you want to give it to the Niners. That's up to you, your preference. I don't care. And then you look at Brandon Staley. He's in a prove-it year.
Yeah, he
so
is.
you can feel good about it, but it's also you just blew a 27-0 lead. And that's tough to overcome.
Yeah.
So we'll take a break. When we get back, top of the hour, Arizona Cardinals set to interview Aaron Glenn. Are we concerned? Anybody? And, you know, I've been seeing this on social media. And I tried to stay away from social media when I was sick, and I did for the most part, outside of the Ben Johnson news. But Aaron Glenn, is he getting enough credit? Or is he just a scrub? I think it's the first one. I don't think he's getting enough credit.
Yeah,
I don't.
I agree.
So I want to have that conversation. Could he be in line for the Arizona job? What should Arizona do? We'll do that coming up in a bit. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Guardian Alarm.
Well, it's a new year. Let Guardian Alarm offer you 24/7 professional monitoring. You can call them any day or night, and Guardian Alarm, their team members will stay on the phone for as long as you need. You're also backed by technology and by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Take the time, call 1-800-STAY-OUT for your protection today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show live, woodwardsports.com, the Monroe Street Minute. As always, Fish, I'm never going to take you, but I am going to take my wife and maybe
nice.
Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Me and Jeff might go on a double date. Right. How about that?
Sounds
How about
good.
that? Puck putt, winter bumper cars, you name it, they've got it. We're back, and I want to talk about Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn set to interview with the Arizona Cardinals. Go ahead, Fish.
Oh, well, do you want NFL international breaking news?
Wait, you said, would you say international?
Fish, I don't give a fuck who's playing overseas next year. Moving on.
Okay.
Aaron Glenn.
Well, all right, cool.
Aaron Glenn set to interview. Set to interview with the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm at a weird place with Aaron Glenn. I actually think he's a good coach.
I do as well.
I don't think he has all the pieces needed to put out a top 15, top 20 defense. Having said that, at 1-6, dude, they weren't that bad. Their talent wasn't 32nd in the NFL. I thought that was pathetic. But after that stretch, when they started winning games, Jeff, you know who led the league in pressures from week 9 to week 15 in the NFL? The Lions. You know who led the league in completion percentage allowed by a quarterback from that stretch? The Lions. You know who had the 5th most sacks in the NFL during that stretch? The Lions.
And who set?
You know who had the most takeaways in that stretch? The Lions.
And they set records for their franchise in terms of rookie production from their defensive players.
Young players adapting and playing well, growing throughout the season. I think you bring in a veteran secondary player, hopefully a corner. I think you bring in a veteran linebacker, probably going to be Alex Anzalone, if we're all honest here. He gave you absurd production at the linebacker position. I think Brad Holmes, who knows what he does. I'm not sure what you think of Malcolm Rodriguez, as all of you fans. I'm not sure. I don't see game-changing potential, but you know what? The fact that he was a 6th-round pick and he gave you that kind of production, that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But you need some playmakers, and you need some veteran guys. And you not only need veterans to come in and produce, you need them in there to communicate. And you get Tracy Walker back next season. So, you know what? I'm expecting next year, I don't think this is unfair to ask. They can go from the 30th ranked defense overall, depending on which site you want to use. I think they can be top 18. I do. And I don't think that's far-fetched.
No.
Because you're going to have Aiden Hutchinson going into his second season where he probably gets 12, 13 sacks. You're going to have Kirby Joseph be a ball hawk. You're going to look at guys like Josh Pascal. You're going to look at guys like John Kaminsky hopefully returning. And you're going to have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. And it's going to work. I think the defense is going to improve a ton, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I think he goes to Arizona? I want to say no. But, I'm not sure. Arizona, to me, they need an adult in the room. And if there's one thing I can say about Aaron Glenn for a fact, is he is an alpha adult in any room. He's been that guy. He's played in the league. And I think he's done a good job. Not very good, not excellent, but I think he's done a good job with what he's had to work with his 2 years in Detroit.
Yeah, I think he's an alpha. Players love him. He's a hell of a coach. I know people look at how they started at 1-6, but you got to understand the injuries along with how young this defense was. Like, you had multiple rookies starting and being impactful or trying to be impactful, but there's a learning curve with a lot of those guys. And the fact that they were able to catch up and play so well down the stretch, AG's got to get credit for that. And that's why he's getting all these interviews. Yes, the Rooney Rule, and you got to interview guys like Aaron Glenn, but at the same time, he's a hell of a coach. It doesn't take away anything away from what he's done this season for the Lions. And I would like him back, obviously. You add more talent to this defense. I do think AG can turn this into maybe even a top 15 defense. And I think he has to. I don't think it's a situation, I would assume they'd improve. No, they got to improve. The last 2 seasons, they were one of the worst defenses. Now, the first season, even though the statistics were bad, the defense kept them in a lot of those games. I know they had a couple duds, but this year, that start to the season was atrocious. And the fact that they were able to bounce back and the defense looked night and day down the stretch, AG gets credit for that. I'm happy he's getting interviews. Regardless, the Lions get a pick if he leaves, so it is a win-win. Now, you don't want to lose a guy like AG, but something tells me the Cardinals won't do this. To me, and obviously, I'm not here to say that, the Cardinals should do this or not, but the Cardinals are looking at this like, okay, we just hired Cliff Kingsbury, not a head coach. He's a collegiate head coach. AG's been in this league. He's played a lot of years in this league at a high level. He's been a coordinator. He's worked with secondaries, like with the New Orleans Saints. Wouldn't they want a guy with more experience? Like, wouldn't you want to hire a guy that's been a head coach already, like a Jim Caldwell or maybe even Sean Payton, if you could fork up assets? I don't think I would take another chance on a guy who's never been a head coach. But like I said, AG, hell of a guy, hell of a coach, man. I think players, especially in Arizona, would listen to that man. He's a leader of men, more than Cliff Kingsbury. So I got no issue that he's interviewing. I just don't know what's the real possibility of it. I know he interviewed with the Colts, the Cardinals.
Would you hire him if you were Arizona? Let's play that role.
It depends what you're looking for. If I'm the Cardinals and I want an established head coach,
you want somebody to lead Kyler Murray.
Yes, to snap Kyler Murray out of whatever funk he's in. Probably not. I would maybe even look at a guy like Jim Caldwell. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind that. Guy who's been a coach in this league. I mean, I know you laugh, but it is what it is. I don't think Aaron Glenn would be the right fit for Arizona, but who am I to say? I think they need someone offensively, but someone that has experience, that can coach Kyler Murray.
Well, Jacksonville hit the jackpot because they got exactly that
would be
last year with Doug Pederson.
If Doug Pederson was available, I would say Arizona would be the best fit, but you don't have. I don't know if there's a Doug Pederson
There
now.
isn't a Doug Pederson available, unfortunately.
So
and
maybe Jim Caldwell, maybe Sean Payton. I mean, other than that, I don't like any of the other fits, to be honest with you.
I'm going to say he doesn't get hired. But given the market, Indy's available, Houston's available, Carolina's available, Arizona's available. If there was ever a market for him to get a job, it would be this one. It would. And the more I look at it, the more Indianapolis is going to end up with Jeff Saturday, and they are going to fucking suck. I'm going to enjoy it.
That was your boy.
It wasn't my boy. No, I just thought he got a bad rep. I just didn't like the fact that everybody was, unbelievable. It's apprehensible that he got a job and there's qualified coaches sitting at home. It's an interim job.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, once upon a time, was an interim head coach. It's an interim head coach. It's temporary. The Colts fucking sucked. That's why they fired their coach to begin with. Would you think he was going to come in and turn it all around? You fucking idiots. That's really what I got frustrated with. Of course they were going to suck.
Yeah.
But he proved he can't coach in the NFL. That's a fact.
Right.
He has no business being a coach. But Jim Irsay will hire him, and I'm going to laugh.
And to speak too, I think getting interviews, as much as you could say the Rooney Rule and all the BS, I mean, like the fact that AG is getting interviews, but teams might not even be considering him. I mean, it's insulting. But at the same time, it's great experience for AG. Like just to go out, and same thing with Ben Johnson, just to go out and take interviews and get that experience and kind of be more prepared. The more interviews you get, I think it's a great thing for AG, whether he leaves or not. I mean, it's great experience, and now he's in this circle of coaching candidates for the time being and for the future. Especially if the Lions defense can make a dramatic jump. I think AG will still be in those conversations every season. I do believe that. And that's a great thing for the Lions. Imagine that. Both your assistants. These guys are being getting interviews every season. And if they keep improving, I think that you could lose probably both of them.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is.
It just is. You've seen it with John Harbaugh in his tenure. You've seen it with Andy Reid in his tenure. Even Sean McVay. Some of the best coaches in the NFL. And it is a coaching tree / circle of life where they just go and they leave, and they come and they leave, and they come and they leave.
Right.
Why? Because they have success as a team, which means they are being looked at by the league. And if the Lions were to have finished 5-12, I don't think anybody's calling for Ben Johnson. Not up until his second year.
Yeah.
But the fact that they won 8 of 10, Goff played the way he did, the offense was rolling, people are looking. People are calling. And it's going to be the same for AG if he turns it around next year.
Right.
It's that simple.
And I love this too. Frank Reich to Arizona. Like those are the
Ooh,
those are the types.
I really like that.
See, those are the types of guys I'm looking at.
I really like that.
Yeah, I think
that's a great one.
Yeah, that's a great one. That was Don Burr in the chat. So
Don Burr,
great
I like
suggestion.
that. That'd be a good hire. I'd be all about it if I was an Arizona fan.
Yeah, if I'm AG, I'm not sweating over the fact if I don't get this Arizona job. I don't.
Yeah, the problem is you have Kyler Murray, and now you're paying him $40 million a year to
and he might not even be there at the start of next season.
He'll miss the first 4 games.
So, it's
and what happens when he doesn't have his legs and he can't see over the offensive line?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you know? Oh, we keep talking about mobile quarterbacks, guys. Fuck. How's that working out? Look what the Ravens look like with Tyler Huntley. They would have looked the same with Lamar. To an extent.
Yeah.
The way they play on, the way their offense rolls, that's what it is. And that's not good. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, give me some of those guys.
Yeah.
Pure pocket passers. You have to be able to throw in the pocket if you want to succeed in the NFL. Kyler Murray's nice. Lamar's an MVP. He's nice too. But I'm not shelling out $40-50 million for you to go out of your way on plays to put yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
It's already hard enough to play in the NFL. It's already dangerous enough.
Right.
The fact that you're going to carry the ball 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 times a game, and you're not Josh Allen or Big Ben, yeah, I'll pass on that. Not having it. Let's take a break. When we get back, Jim Harbaugh staying at Michigan. That was also news that broke this week. Does Michigan have a chance at three-peating?
Ooh.
Ohio State, are they coming back next year? And are they going to be this Ohio State team that we're so accustomed to seeing? And more recently, are they going to keep losing to Michigan? It's at the Big House next year, and you might be able to win 3 times. We'll have that conversation coming up in a bit.
Or this year.
Huh?
They're at the Big House this year. It's 2023. This year.
This year, excuse me. Next season.
Well, the
Fish,
season.
shut the fuck up.
The season's done. Last time I checked, Georgia murdered TCU. What was it? 2 weeks ago Monday, or last Monday. So that means bye to 2022 and hello to 2023.
Fish, what's the international news you wanted to say quickly before we go to break? What do you? Why'd you? Is it important?
Well, I mean, it's just all about the home teams for the international games next year. There's going to be 5 international games, 3 in London, and 2 of them in Germany. This is from Neil Reynolds, Sky Sports in the UK, lovely host out there. 3 London games featuring the Bills at Tottenham, Titans at Tottenham, the Jaguars at Wembley, and then the 2 games in Germany involving the Chiefs and the Patriots.
Oh, okay.
So they're not playing each other.
Jim Harbaugh coming up next.
Cool.
We'll be right back. But before we do, Jeff, our good friends over at Big Boy.
Hey, what if the Lions play the Chiefs in Germany? You missed out because you didn't hear me.
Fish has a point, but if you don't feel like watching any of those games, go to Big Boy and enjoy the winter time and the food that Big Boy has. They got comfort foods. You can try the classic meatloaf or Cajun chicken Alfredo, but they also have breakfast as well. The stuffed potato pancakes are back. The Lumberjack, Santa Fe Garden, or Blockbuster. Stop by your local Big Boy today.
Love Woodward Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Let me tell you about our friends at Chili Peppers Tanning, because it's where you'll find all the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. You could join the Pepper Club for all the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters, 27 locations and more on the way.
All right, we are back here on the Morning Woodward Show live, woodwardsports.com. As always, Jim Harbaugh staying at Michigan, finally announced it. Looks like the president, Ono, stepped in and did Ward Manuel's job for him. What more Ward Manuel does outside of, deal with controversy at Michigan, I'm not sure what the hell he does anymore. It seems he causes more problems than he does deliver anything good. But moving on, Jim's staying at Michigan, and I'm actually really happy about this. Yeah. Back-to-back Big Ten championships, back-to-back college football playoff appearances. He's really putting Michigan at a level we've never seen them at. They have a chance to three-peat, and really the question this morning is, they're bringing a lot of talent back. You're going to be running back an offense that's going to be loaded next year. So what is it? Are they going to be able to waltz through the Big Ten again and beat Ohio State and Ann Arbor? Or are we going to see some hiccups? Because what we saw against TCU was... I have no explanation for it. Coaching... laziness, stubbornness, there's so much that goes into it. But, more than anything, that was a missed opportunity. But why wouldn't I have confidence in Jim Harbaugh? And this is my question to you. Why wouldn't I have confidence that him and J.J. McCarthy couldn't lead this team to a three-peat?
Especially with Corum returning. I mean, you're retaining a lot of those players.
Why couldn't they?
Right.
I have very little reason to doubt Michigan couldn't run the table again next year.
And it's funny because the same day that he announced he was coming back, C.J. Stroud declared for the draft. So there's another part of it. You're going to have Colin McCord starting next season for the Ohio State Buccaneers, Buckeyes.
I love you.
I'm still on the NFL, the
It's all
Buckeyes. But still, I mean, I think Michigan is poised to do the exact same thing they did this year. Run the Big Ten, win the Big Ten title, make a college football playoff again. But at this point, it's more than that. Like we can keep saying
they're like Georgia. You got to win now.
Yes,
it's not. 2 years ago, it was we got there.
Right.
We won the Big Ten. Man, we're here. Whew. Last year was we expected to be here, bitch.
Yep.
But we laid an egg. This third season, I do think they should be the favorites. Maybe the media gives it to Ohio State. I think Michigan should be the favorites, the defending champ, consecutive years.
Right.
I think they've earned that right, but this has to be the year you go out and not only get to the playoffs, but you win a game.
Yeah.
You got to get to the Natty.
Yeah.
You have to. And the playoff expansion is coming. Michigan will be a reoccurring team in there. I have no doubts about it. When it expands to 12, that's going to be a non-issue. But in the 4-team format.
It's the most wide-open format.
Especially this past year, but we're just going to move past that.
Yeah, we'll just won't talk about that.
You got to get in, man.
Yeah.
You got to do it, and I think they should be the favorites. I really do.
And I think winning the Big Ten, I don't want to discredit that. That's huge. If you win it back 3 years in a row, 2 of those years will probably be another year where you beat
That's what you
Ohio
set out
State.
to do.
Absolutely. And he's a damn good coach. So Michigan fans should be excited he's back. But it's at this point, and I'm glad we agree, it's not just winning the Big Ten, facing an Iowa or whoever. I mean, it's more about what do you do in the college football playoff, and who knows who they'll face this year. It might not be TCU, but I'd expect this is what you got to do. You got to win a game.
These are the comments that excite me and also frustrate me a little bit. Harbaugh is proving that he is a very good coach, but not a big game coach. Okay. Public enemy. I agree. Okay? Let's start with there. I agree with you. But neither was Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart could never beat Alabama. He could never win the big game. He could never do it until he did it. So I'm not going to write off Jim Harbaugh. I'm just not going to do it. Because he's one of the 6 best coaches in all of college football. He's returning what I believe will be a top 3, top 4 quarterback in college football next season.
Yep.
There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential. I'm not going to write Michigan off. Again, as frustrated as I was that they lost to TCU, that doesn't diminish or discredit what they've done. And I think they're going to be able to three-peat, man. I really do. Ohio State, yes, Ryan Day's going to have the offense, the flair, the motivation. That's all great. But you still got to go to Ann Arbor to beat them this year.
Right.
And that's already challenging enough. And you're going to take into account Michigan probably going to be undefeated by then. But who knows? They got to go to East Lansing this year. There's games. You never know. But I think even a one-loss Big Ten team gets in this year. Because they will be. I don't think a team runs the table. I think somebody will end up with a loss. I think Michigan will lose leading up to Ohio State. I do. I think Michigan still win the Big Ten, though. I think they'll beat Ohio State, get to the championship game. The rest is history. I'm not scared of Michigan State. Not worried about any team in the Big Ten East or the West for that fact.
And their schedule.
Maybe they slip up once. Who knows? Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they waltz through the schedule and they go undefeated again. I don't know. Too early to tell.
Right.
But to me, Michigan are the standard right now in the Big Ten. Yeah. I don't think that's changing, and Jim Harbaugh returning only solidifies that.
Yeah. Goal this year, get to the national championship game. That should be it. You can't go 3 years in a row. Yes, at the same time, it's great. I mean, you're in the college football playoff for 3 consecutive seasons if they make it this year, but it's not really about that anymore. I mean, you especially in the fashion in which they lost, first year being Georgia, okay, you give them a pass, stacked defense, stacked team. You follow it up, you lose to TCU, and then we'll see who they face this year. But no, it's... To the whoever asked the question's point, yeah, Jim Harbaugh has that label right now. He lost in a Super Bowl. You lost in multiple college football playoff games. But the fact that he's getting there isn't a bad thing. It's a great thing.
I love what you guys are doing in the chat this morning. This is very interesting. Look at this comment from, where is it? Oh, goodness, I lost it. There's no way I lost it. Here we go. CJ Schneider. On top of that, Michigan is at a crossroad, Jeff, okay? Will they go the recent route of Oklahoma or the route of Georgia and get over the top? That is a great question. That is the question. Will they live up and overcome, or will they fall apart like Oklahoma, have the conference success, get to the playoff, and just keep losing? Who knows? We don't know, and that's the beauty of the sport. We get to find out.
Yeah.
But I think Michigan going into next season, they should be the favorite. Yeah. The defense, will it be as good as last year? I don't think so. They're going to have to figure it out. But Jesse Minter, their staff, I have no reason to doubt them, Jeff. They haven't given me many reasons to doubt them outside of TCU.
Yeah.
Where they just choked. They just really went away from their game plan. They got cute at the goal line. You want to get mad about the Roman Wilson non-call touchdown. Fine, but you can't fucking lose that game. Whatever. Moving on. When we get back, I've been waiting to do this all year. Grading every Detroit Lion positional player along with the coaches. How they do this year. Jeff and I will give our grades position by position and coach by coach coming up. But before we do, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Swiss Insurance. No, I don't. Jeff does.
Let me tell you about them. Swiss Insurance. We'll make sure this week, if you contact them, they'll get you hooked up for your commercial insurance review. And on top of that, Swiss can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance, give them a shot and you won't be disappointed. Contact them, Mark at SwissINS.com.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991, yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
All right, let me tell you about my good friends over at Custom Health Centers. They've done a great job with Ryan Armani. He's never felt better. He's never been more confident. I can't believe I'm saying this. Yes, he can fit into his underwear and his clothes comfortably. I'm really happy for him. I really am. So check him out 2 to 4 every day and see his day-to-day transformation thanks to Dr. Jason and his team over at Custom Health Centers. We are back here on the Morning Woodward Show. No, I want to do a little pivot, actually. I want to pivot. The Pistons are playing in Paris.
Yay!
So we should acknowledge it. Is Killian Hayes going for 50 tonight? Or today, I should say. Tonight in Paris.
Man,
wait, so if it's a 3 o'clock game, that means it's
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock start in Paris.
Yeah, that's right. That's normal over there.
Wow.
Yeah, they play early.
But 9 o'clock's like normal.
Did you see Jalen Duren forgetting his passport?
I saw that.
They finally got him there eventually. But we're gonna have Sean Murphy join the show. I want him to break it down for us.
You guys just
Fish, I would love for you to shut the hell up.
Fish.
Okay. You asked me a question, I answered it, and then you guys just
Mark on WoodwardSports.com says take all the passports and keep them there. Oh my god.
That's rude.
That is terrible.
Hey, can I?
That is terrible.
Can I American question? Can I ask my American question? So if he's in Paris and he has no passport, he can't come back, right?
I think they're figuring it out.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying that he's stuck there for now. Good luck.
Paris, again, we'll see. I don't know.
You have interesting views about that country.
Yeah, I don't like Paris. Bunch of scumbag people. I'm not a fan. Sorry.
But they face the Bulls today. Killian, hopefully, man.
Maybe while he's there, you can scout Victor Wembanyama out there in France.
Victor might be in attendance. I mean,
watch. The Pistons will finish with the worst record and land the number 2 overall pick.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
What are you going to do? What do you think of the Pistons?
Not much to think about. I mean,
if you could swap passports with one person on that team, and they would never come back, who would it be?
I know who you're picking.
That is messed up.
Of course you know my pick.
That is messed up.
Dwayne Casey, monsieur, I'm sorry we lost your passport. You cannot come back.
I was thinking about someone else, but I guess that works.
Oh, who?
Kirby Joseph.
Who?
Kirby Joseph. Lions. I don't know. You weren't a big fan of
Corey Joseph.
Corey Joseph.
You fucking Fish.
Don't leave Kirby in Paris, Fish.
God damn it.
Don't do that.
Fish, shut the hell up. Go watch Andy Murray, god damn it.
I sure will.
Don't leave Kirby.
Do we got
down
Sean
there.
on yet? He's on? All right, listen, Sean. I forgot about you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. I hope you're doing well. Good morning, buddy. How's everything going?
Oh, it's going well, Adam. I'm so
wow,
glad.
Look at the background. Look at you.
Yeah.
No green screen, new apartment.
Yeah,
you
man.
shaved.
Yeah, dude, look at that. I mean, I'm on a new level. But in all seriousness, it's good to see you guys. Glad to be here. Let's do this thing.
Look at you, big guy. All right, look, Pistons play. 3 o'clock, the Bulls. You have one person, player, coach, doesn't matter, manager, I don't care who. You can leave one person.
Oh, God.
Forever. Stuck in Paris.
No, don't do that.
Who is it?
I mean, if you're making me leave anyone in Paris, I mean, I'm fine with anyone coming back. They could do whatever. Personally, after this season, Kojo, it's been a good run.
See, wouldn't you leave Dwayne Casey?
Brother, listen, if you think the problems with this team are with Dwayne Casey...
I don't. I just don't like him, to be honest with you.
I get that. I understand. Like, beyond this season, I'm not sure what the coaching strategy is. I think, the fact that Troy Weaver has his extension, the fact that, he's going to have options and flexibility to do things going forward. I'm interested to have that conversation around them. But for now, I mean, there's exciting times ahead, man. And, this is just this afternoon, this game in Paris. It's a fun little pit stop in the restoration.
So you're telling me that Killian Hayes is dropping 60 tonight?
He's sweatbanding right in front of Victor Wembanyama. He's showing him every reason why he wants to end up in the Motor City. No, I think with Killian, I think this is like a cool, checkpoint for him coming back to France, seeing, both the player that he was when he left versus the player that he is coming back and who he is now. I mean, his growth and maturity over the course of the season has really been quite remarkable when you talk about especially the way that he started the first few games and the player that he's turned into now. Jeff and I have been talking a little bit about who Troy Weaver compared him to on draft night, because I know a lot of people see the step back and he shoots left-handed and they're like, oh my God, is that James Harden? That's not how that works, right? That's just not reality. The guy that he actually compared him to is Goran Dragic. And if you look at Goran Dragic, he actually helped the Heat get to the finals back in 2020. One of the better guards over the past decade plus. He played in Phoenix and teams where his talents were wasted, for a lack of better terms. But over the past month plus, his averages, like Goran Dragic's career averages, are exactly what Killian's been producing. And the things and the qualities that they share is that Killian's just that confident point guard, that quarterback that can manipulate the court. He's a guy that can get you a bucket when you need him to now. I mean, when did you think we'd be saying that Killian Hayes was one of the best shooters on the Pistons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we're there. I mean, that's the growth and evolution that he's had. And the fact that he's coming back to France, as this, Americanized, completely different player, completely different mentality, I think that's something to celebrate.
And Sean, too, I mean, more than just this game, because we've had this discussion, but you're seeing the rumors now with the trade deadline literally 2 weeks away, after February. I want to ask you, some players, Bojan is probably the most hottest commodity right now in the market, especially for contenders. But more than that, what are some players that you would be surprised if moved, would not be surprised? What kind of deals do you think Troy is looking to make at the deadline?
Yeah, most certainly. I think it's important to point out that for the second or third year in a row, Troy Weaver has one of the hottest commodities at the trade deadline. I mean, last year Jeremy Grant was a really hot name. This year with Bojan Bogdanovic, even Alec Burks is a guy that's garnering attention from other teams as well. So, with Bojan, from the sounds of it, with all reports suggesting from Shams, from James, from Woj, everyone, it's been pretty well documented at this point that what it would take to get Bojan out of Detroit at the minimum is an unprotected first-round pick. So reportedly, a lot of contenders are really interested in him. So ultimately, I would not be shocked if a team wouldn't, offer that. I mean, that's absolutely, and the fact if the Pistons were able to garner that, by the way, the fact that we turned Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee into an unprotected first round pick, let alone if we keep him, Bojan Bogdanovic, incredible. But on top of that, other guys that could potentially be traded. I know Hamidou is a guy that's on an expiring contract. I personally would like to see what he could potentially do down the stretch in Detroit, and maybe, if we could bring him back on a team-friendly deal next year. I think there's a lot of guys, that could potentially be moved. But ultimately, Troy Weaver said in an interview with The Athletic the other day that he's going to treat it just like every other trade deadline, where he's going to leave no stone unturned. He's going to look at every single option. They're going to take every single phone call. And I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit doesn't at least do something, especially a guy like Nerlens Noel, where both the team and him have mutually agreed that moving on would be good. And I'm sure once Jalen Duren is healthy and ready to be back in the lineup full time, I'm sure Detroit would have no problem with moving on from him as well. So I wouldn't expect Detroit to not do anything, but at the same time, I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't stand packed either, because from the sounds of it, they believe that they can be competitive, next year.
And Ivy, too, the biggest thing that stood out to me over the last 5 to 10 games is his playmaking ability and how that's taken the next step. We talked about it before the draft and even after the draft with Jaden Ivey. There's things that he can do that doesn't always show up at Purdue, right? His playmaking, obviously you saw his athleticism, but what he can do defensively, that's been shown as well. But talk about some of the things you've seen out of Ivey just this season, things he's improved at. And now I think much more, and we've been saying this about Ivey, the thing that you love about him is he has such a complete game. He can affect the game in so many different ways. But what are some things you've seen out of Ivey and what you want to see moving forward to have a promising rookie year, despite winning the Rookie of the Year award, because it's going to Paolo Banchero?
Yeah, you nailed it, Jeff. I mean, the Rookie of the Year award, that's over and gone. That was on night one. I mean, Paolo Banchero, my lord, that's a man amongst boys. But Jaden Ivey, what he can do and what he's done over the course of this season is he's shown nights and flashes where he can be really mature with the basketball and really patient with his decision making. I mean, there's nights where he's been really efficient from shooting and really, and where he's had a lot of, where he's had high assist numbers with no turnover rates. I mean, there's also times though where he tries to be a little flashy in the open court and has miscommunication with his teammates as well. I think the thing is when Jaden Ivey, understands what's going on, when he clearly sees, where he can fill in the gap on the offensive end, he can absolutely do it and do it in spades. I think you've seen clearly that his athleticism, is a game breaker, is a game changer. And, the fact that, he has, unlike in Purdue, he has spacing. He has guys, that can shoot from beyond the arc, and having guys, like Alec Burks back in the lineup and Bojan, to help space the floor, but also true lob threats like Jalen Duren as well. I think you've just seen, the fact that it's clear that he can hang, in this league. It's also clear where he can get better as well. And I think that's like the encouraging thing is that, he's a guy it's so well documented how hard he works. It's so well documented, the great support system that he has between his mother, Neil Ivey, the head coach for Notre Dame women's basketball. Pretty much the entirety of the WNBA has his back. He has great relationships and mentorships with guys like John Morant, Russell Westbrook, the likes. But the ultimate thing is the guy's just a worker. He's a gym rat, which is, what Detroit wants, what Troy Weaver wanted to get in the building. So, I think all the signs point to this kid being special and to eventually being a great player. He just, I think the areas that he has to improve on, he just has to get better on the defensive end. He has to tighten up that shot. Common things that you see in young players, but overall, his athleticism is special.
All right, Sean, I know you don't like the question. I know you're not a fan of it, and I would agree with you. There's a lot of work to be done in Detroit with the Pistons. I don't think this is a contender probably for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons even. You have to wait for Cade to develop. Hopefully he comes back healthy. You're waiting on Ivy to hit year 3, year 4 to really start for him to hit his stride. But beyond the point, let's say it is Casey's last year. And I throw these 3 names at you. I want your opinion. You tell me, Adam, you're off, or Adam, you know what? You might be onto something. Scott Brooks, Brett Brown, Mark Jackson. Would you take one of those 3 coaches on a 3-year contract to do what Casey's doing, but maybe at a higher level and actually implement an offensive system? That's my question to you and Jeff, Sean.
I mean, if you're talking about bringing in a guy to do exactly what Dwayne Casey's doing right now, then I think you're off, because I think if
I don't mean the losing part.
Well, okay, but here's the difference though, is that if you are talking about what you want to see in a coach, through these development times, is how are individual players developing, especially when you do have guys like Cade Cunningham out of the lineup, which, by the way, it's really hard to develop a core when the centerpiece of what you're trying to build around, the centerpiece of your offense, is on the sidelines for the entire season. But that's a whole other conversation. The main thing is you want to look at how individual guys are developing. I would argue Isaiah Stewart has been a shining centerpiece of the Dwayne Casey system and how he's developed. I mean, from day one to now, the player that he is offensively, he can put it on the court now. He's an underrated passer. Isaiah Stewart at one point was shooting top 10 from 3 in the entire league from a percentage standpoint. I mean, we talk about everything Isaiah Stewart's been, but also how he's grown as a leader. I mean, people are talking about how Isaiah Stewart, he was known as the quiet kid from Rochester that came in, that was the scrappy kid that came off the bench. But now he's known as the vocal leader on this team and is being viewed while Cade is out as the franchise player. I mean, just his growth alone, but also Sadiq and what he's embraced and taken on. And even though he's gone through rough stretches at the beginning of the season as well, how he's been an anchor as the 6th man on the bench. And he had, a 30-point game last week in a win against Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can look at and say, hey, he's doing really well here. And Adam, I think the reason why I defend Dwayne Casey is because I see so adamantly and so vehemently in other organizations throughout the league, coaches where there actually are question marks, and there actually are problems. And I always go back and I point to specifically what's going on in Houston. And I mean, I was just watching John Wall talk about it this morning. He was calling it an absolute show. Whoop, did not mean to do that. But Anyway, I am an idiot. But he was calling it an absolute crap fest. He was saying that what guys like Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. are getting away with over there, they wouldn't get away with in the rest of the league. He says it's an absolute tank fest. Their head coach is literally out of character, getting ejected out of games. Eric Gordon, one of their veterans who's been there for 10 years, is saying, literally came out and said 2 weeks ago, we're not getting better. And then even in Charlotte, they rehired one of their worst coaches in franchise history. And the other day, they had a lineup where they were like, these are all players that the Hornets drafted. And I'm going to spoil it for you, Adam. It was one of the worst lineups I've ever seen in NBA history. So, like, for me, it's like, yes, I understand the losing sucks. I understand that everything looks rough, but it doesn't even take much to look across the league or at other situations and say, oh, this rebuild is clearly in way better circumstances than the rest of them.
Right. 100%. I echo everything you just said. I think Sean just put it perfectly.
All right, Sean. Well, love you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Congrats on the new apartment. We'll talk soon. Hopefully Killian Hayes drops 60 in a few hours. Who knows?
French Harden.
Appreciate you, buddy. Take care.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
You're the man, Sean.
You're the man, Sean. All right, when we get back, let's grade the Lions players and the coaches. But before we do, I got to tell you about my good friends over at Planet Fitness. What are you waiting for? Your fitness is essential. Make 2023 the year you change yourself physically, mentally, whatever you prefer. Your fitness is essential. Sign up today, $10 a month at a local Planet Fitness near you, or visit them at planetfitness.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
All right, Bedrock Detroit brings you the Monroe Street Midway Shop, Eat, and Play all winter long. Downtown Detroit, winter bumper cars, puck putt, food and drinks before and after you play. You name it, they've got it. Check it out. Winter Wonderland at downtown Detroit. We are back here on the Morning Woodward Show live, woodwardsports.com. Jeff Iafrate, Adam Beydoun. I love the Sam Cassell mentions in the chat. I think you and Sean, rightfully so, have your thoughts on Casey, and I think a lot of it's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just done with him. I don't know if that counts as a valid reason, but I'm just done. Yeah, I've seen it.
Right.
I want to see a system in place where these kids can thrive and develop. But, you know, again, I can't argue that Stewart doesn't look better and Hayes hasn't been improving and that Ivy doesn't look good at 15-4-4 a game. So
and Duran.
No, there's valid points.
Right.
I get it.
Right. And that's the point, right? Is Dwayne the future? Sign him to an extension? No. But that Troy's going to handle all that. Don't worry about it.
Here's what we're going to do. Let's start with the quarterback position. We'll work our way through the team.
Okay.
And then I want to get to the coaches.
Let's do it.
Very quickly, we got, 7 minutes? Not even. We got 6. Jared Goff, give me a grade.
I'll say A-.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you'd say an A. I'm going to go A. Outstanding
Just
season.
Because of those couple picks at the beginning.
I understand, but top 10
A-.
statistical performance. He was a top 10 quarterback in most categories. He only threw 7 interceptions after throwing 6, I think, in the first 6 or 7. Yeah. And he only had 1 down the stretch. He was phenomenal. I'm going to give him an A.
Mm-hmm.
Running back, I'm going to ignore. I'm not going to go player by player, but we can say the running back, the depth chart. Like, that group. Give me a grade on the group.
I'll say B-. I like what they have.
Closer.
I don't know if Jamal's your number one back. But they were still productive. Jamal had 1,000 yards. He broke Barry Sanders'
3.8 yards a carry.
Not the most explosive run.
I'm going to go C+. I thought very effective at the goal line, but again, behind that offensive line, I'm sure Justin Jackson and Craig Reynolds could have ran in a lot of those touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm not really concerned. The health of DeAndre Swift is an interesting dynamic. I'm going to go C+. I wouldn't mind a B-, but I'm sorry, inconsistent backfield all season.
Yeah.
I can't give you a higher grade than that. Let's go to the wide receiving core. We'll start with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
A++++ with an extra plus. I mean, the guy's a stud, certified stud. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been the #1 receiver. We questioned him when he was first drafted, or really after his explosive second half of his rookie year. Is this guy a #1? He was a #1 this year, and he played damn well. He deserves all the credit. So give me an A+ squared for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm going to agree with you. DJ Chark, for 1 year in Detroit, signed as a free agent, on and off with injuries. What'd you think?
I'll give him a B- too. Just because the health was the biggest thing with DJ, right? You signed him to a 1-year deal. Can he stay healthy? He missed half the season. So wasn't healthy, but when he played and Jared Goff and him were connecting late in the year, he played really well. So I'll say B-. I'll say B-.
All right. I'm going to give the whole receiving core a B+.
Yeah, that evens out. You know, A for Amon.
Amon was just too good, and then there was Khalif and Josh and DJ. It was like, okay. And then J-Mo coming on late, but you didn't really see him much. So I'm going to give it overall a B+. I'm okay with. Tight end, I'm going to disregard. They traded Hockenson halfway through.
Serviceable.
Mitchell, Bright, they did their jobs. They did their jobs. They were effective, very good at times. But we'll go to the offensive line as a unit. I'm not going to go each offensive line player. I think all pros with Ragnow and Penei Sewell, in my opinion. But as a group, I got to give them an A.
I agree.
I thought they had a very good season. I thought they did a good job of compensating whenever players were out. I thought that offensive line all year was the backbone of this team.
And that was without their starting right guard in Vaitai. Missed the whole season. They had Evan Brown, Dan Skipper. They still had, different right guards. They finally got to Evan Brown late in the season, but still, even as an entire unit, they're only behind Philly for the best offensive line. That deserves an A. So
I'd put San Francisco up there, but I don't mind that. I don't mind. It's very high praise from you,
Matt
Jeff.
LaFleur said it. I didn't say
That's
it.
very high praise, Jeff. All right, let's go to the defense. We'll start with the defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson, give me a grade for his season.
I'll say A-. Because the reason why I'm saying A-, I would give him an A because I love what I saw. I mean, you gave me almost double-digit sacks and 3 picks as a defensive lineman. It's impressive. I mean, he had the best rookie year out of all the defensive ends. But the start to the season, I can't ignore. Inconsistent. There's things that he was learning still. And it's not a bad thing, but that factors into grading. So I'll give him an A- because he finished the season a monster. But it started off, he was struggling a little bit. After that Washington game, he had 3 sacks. He was kind of up and down. But for the most part, loved what I saw at Aiden.
All right, fair enough. I'm going to give him a B+. Tough to give him an A-. Inconsistent throughout the season. Down the stretch, very good. But you got to take the whole season into account. Maybe I'm not being fair by giving Goff an A, but I just thought his down the stretch, that 10-12 game run was just unbelievable. But moving on, James Houston, you got to give him an A.
Do A+.
Small sample size, extremely productive. That's all we can say about him. Fair?
Yeah, he was a monster. Yeah, he gets an A+.
All right, let's go to the interior. I don't want to go individual with Buggs and all these guys. The interior line, McNeil, Buggs, Kaminsky at times. Break it down.
I'll say it would have to be like a B-, C+. I like what I saw, the flashes. Aleem had a monster game in New York, and you've seen flashes. Buggs was really solid. But there was also games, and you could handpick a couple games where the defensive line, especially the interior, you couldn't get pressure, or they were able to run the ball all over you. And that's the issue. Carolina, but they were also really good against the run late in the year. So I'll say B-. I'll put them in the B range, but you certainly saw some games where you were sitting there scratching your head, no doubt.
Fair enough.
But that was the entire defense, not just.
Let's go to the linebackers as a unit.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about Anzalone and Malcolm as individuals. What'd you think? I'm going to give them a C+.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I don't think I can give them more than that.
No, I think that's fair. Malcolm showed flashes. He was pretty solid all year. And Alex Anzalone, honestly, technically had a career year, but there were still some downsides with it. So I think C+ is fair with those two guys.
All right, fair enough. We'll go to the cornerback position, Jeff Okudah. You're answering this because whatever I answer, it's going to be wrong.
I'm going to say C+ for Jeff. I think there was a lot of, especially at the beginning of the season, where you saw the flashes, you saw his open field tackling, showed you a lot. But then late in the season, that's where, like, he probably would be a B plus if he kept that up. But he did struggle the second half of the season. I mean, he wasn't available for the last game. Injured, he's banged up. The performance kind of slipped a little bit. I'll give him a C plus.
I'm giving him a C minus. And it might be harsh, and you guys may say that I'm biased because I don't think he's good enough. I don't. And he had flashes. I thought his best game was against Minnesota. I loved how he was pressing at the line of scrimmage. It was very Jalen Ramsey-esque. But outside of that, he had nothing to offer.
Yeah, but here's the thing: I'm giving him a C plus in a room where they probably get an F, like a D minus for
they get an F,
as
but
the secondary.
I think you're being very friendly and kind because he got benched at the end of the season. Nobody will acknowledge it, which is fine. Whatever. I'll let you guys get away with that one. He got benched towards the end. He was injured again. Surprise, surprise. What do you know? And he wasn't a good cover corner. I need a cover corner. Your job as a corner is not to be in the box and play fucking linebacker. I need you to cover wide receivers. As a cover corner, he gets a fucking D. Okay? And I'm being very kind with that. Now, as a guy who can support the run, gotta say, B. Even B+. Very good open field tackler.
Yeah.
But miss me with the idea that he's a corner in the NFL. He just isn't.
Okay, and I get that, but what corner do you think he has the best grade out of all the corners that the Lions currently have?
No, I think Jerry Jacobs was better than Okudah this season. And that's sad.
I don't know about that one. I get
Deshaun Elliott.
Well, he's a safety. I mean, if you want to see the entire secondary, yeah.
I'm going by secondary players, not just
okay.
corners.
Then I think Deshaun Elliott had a great year.
Kirby Joseph was better.
Kirby had a great year, but if we're talking corners, I mean,
Mike Hughes.
Jeff's the only guy.
We're not going to talk about Mike Hughes in the slot.
Well, Mike Hughes had to be benched, and then he was brought back.
But who played better? And who was Okudah benched for?
It was Mike Hughes, but he's better. I mean, listen.
I'm never going to get my point across with Okudah because it's always going to be tainted. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're the third overall pick. I expect way more than what I was given this season. Sorry. Yeah. I don't care what excuse you guys can give me. I don't.
Right, I'm sticking with my gut.
And you're not a cover corner if you need safety help on every single play. Now, are there games where it's necessary? Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown,
yes,
Devon. Okay, fine. Yeah. I'll give you that. But miss me with it. We'll take a break. When we get back, mailbag time. Get your questions in the chat for Jeff and I. We'll be right back. But before we do, I got to talk about my friends over at the Cousins Maine Lobster. God, why did I botch that? Sorry, boys. First day back, no problem. Gotta miscue every once in a while. Let me tell you about Cousins Maine Lobster. Scan the QR code on your screen. Clam chowder, soup, lobster tacos, you name it, they've got it. Fresh lobster served every single day. Find out where their food trucks are by visiting cousinsmainelobster.com and enjoy yourself a very warm and cozy lunch. Today we'll be right back with Mailbag.
As chilly weather approaches, Big Boy's got the perfect comfort meals for you. Try our hearty classic meatloaf or our creamy Cajun chicken Alfredo. These will be sure to leave you craving for more. How about breakfast? Our stuffed potato pancakes are back with our lumberjack, blockbuster, and Santa Fe garden. These potato pancakes will definitely fill you up. Whether it's for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, come stock up on the perfect comfort meal today. We'll see you soon at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the three biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
The official meat supplier of the Woodward Sports Network, Chef Dave and his awesome team over at The Butchery. Order online today at thebutcherysl.com. Sandwiches to die for, Wagyu meats, and artisan breads. Call them at 248-682-COWS. That's 248-682-COWS. Mailbag time. Jeff, let's answer some questions. Jeff or Adam, what's it going to cost us to reel in Daron Payne? And if we get Payne, how does that change our draft prospects? Thanks. Love the show, Zach B. I don't know what it will cost. I know it'll cost a lot.
Right.
That I do know. But That really impacts what you do at number 6.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And I don't think there's a corner good enough to go 6 this year. I don't even think Ringo.
I agree.
I wouldn't do it.
I said trade. I think try and trade back.
I think you got to trade back to 10 or 11. Maybe get a Joey Porter Jr.
if you can.
At 11, if you can trade back. If not, maybe he's there at 18. Who knows? I don't like 6 this year. I don't like where you're sitting now. Depending on how the board plays out, we'll see. Miles Murphy. You have Brian Boris. You have a lot of options there that could be there. Some people even mentioning C.J. Stroud. The Lions have options. That I do know. Now, are the players you want and love going to be available? Jalen Carter? No. God, no. He's not going to be available. He'll be 2nd or 3rd overall, just like Will Anderson. That's not changing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Moving on, other questions. What else do we have here, Jeff?
Mailbag, what is a more realistic scenario? Bringing Funny asks, Dan Campbell reaching the Super Bowl in year 5 or 6 of his current contract? Does he make it to the Super Bowl in all of his tenure in Detroit?
Can we not talk about that?
Yeah,
can we not do the Super Bowl skit?
And that's I laugh when people say, well, you like Jared. Can Jared win a Super Bowl? I'm like, can we just get to the playoffs? I mean,
can you win a division?
That's just what we got to do here.
What do you think of Sean McDermott?
He's a pretty damn good coach.
Well, he hasn't been to the Super Bowl, though.
Still a damn good coach. So, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't look too much into it.
Matt LaFleur, damn good coach. 13 wins
in
his first 3 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
No, he hasn't been to the Super Bowl.
I mean, he's maybe not an elite coach, but he's a damn good coach.
What are we doing? You know what I mean? Go win the division.
Yeah.
Go win a playoff game, and then fucking talk to me about a Super Bowl. Jesus.
And what do you think about the idea? Because I haven't had this conversation with you yet. People talk about Jalen Ramsey.
No.
So you're not okay?
It's too much money.
How do I know you so well?
Dude, I have $30 million.
And you got to fork up assets too. Don't forget that. I mean, he's not a free agent.
I can't do it, man.
Right.
It's too much money.
It's gonna be
I am not a Super Bowl contending team next year. I know that for a fact. As much as we all love the Lions right now, they're not a Super Bowl team next year. They're a play man.
So you're welcome.
Well, try to reconnect the internet.
You're asking like he can go call the...
All right, we're back. Sorry about the delay. Jesus Christ. Fish just goes out of his way to sabotage the show. I apologize.
Well, I was pissed because... Well, I don't know why I was pissed, but Murray won the 3rd set, so...
He did, so he has a chance.
He has a chance,
Good for him.
I love this question because I know what you're going to say, but I respect Dad with Tourette's. He's asked some questions, and he asked this when you were gone. He wants you to know and get your opinion on it. Pretend health is fine for the team next year, but we win 8 or 9 games again and miss the playoffs.
I think it's disappointing.
Hold on, with the top 10 offense, do you promote Ben Johnson and fire DC?
I don't think you can fire Dan Campbell.
I don't know. Yeah.
Next year, unless he wins 2 games.
Yeah. If he goes 9-8 again, I don't know.
If he goes 9-8 or 8-9, I think you're disappointed, and then you put the expectation on him, like, all right, dude, you got to win next year, or you're out.
I agree.
I don't think you can fire Dan unless it's a 2, 3, 4 win season.
As much as we love Ben, it's just I don't think that's a reality.
It's just not happening.
Yeah, I don't think that's a reality.
I don't agree with that. I get it, but no. Dan, the only way he is under fire next year is if they go out and win 2, 3, 4 games. I don't see that happening. So, what other questions do we have, Jeff?
Well, the chat, I just lost the chat, so I don't have the questions.
Well, look, we're going to end the show there then. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. It's so good to be back. Fish, shut the hell up. Jeff,
okay.
Fun as always. Alex, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow, Friday, playoff preview. Can't wait to talk NFL playoffs. Woo! Divisional round. So much at stake. We'll be back tomorrow with some more... how do I want to say this? With some more shut the hell ups for Fish, to be honest with you. We're out of here. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday, Jeff. Love you, buddy.
Big day ahead. Happy Thursday, everyone. Pistons in France. Go watch it. How do you not?